name is Steve Grasso. I work for Ingredion Incorporated. Been with the company for approximately 23 years, all in the quality group and quality assurance. So my current role is with the global quality group and specifically with external supplier compliance. So when we decided to go with TraceGains, I was selected to be the project manager for rolling out TraceGains and to maintain TraceGains for our company globally. I guess we had a small advantage, I should say, because we did have an arm of our company that had dealt with TraceGains in the past and actually used TraceGains. So we did have a little bit of advantage and a little bit of insight as to how to get our suppliers connected with the TraceGains network and how to sell, I guess, if you will, to the customers or to our suppliers the use of TraceGains and the advantages of TraceGains, not only just for our company, but for them themselves as a little bit less of managing document requests. We really tried to speak with our suppliers more on a general basis, and then we did go even to one-on-one with our suppliers to get them to understand why we are using TraceGains, why we think it's an advantage for them, and to realize that to be a part of a preferred supplier for Ingredion, we ask that they use TraceGains, and to really start structuring our contracts with new suppliers and understanding from the beginning that TraceGains is a must for them to be a preferred supplier for Ingredion. So our procurement group sending out a lot of emails and telling them, hey, we are using TraceGains. This is going to be a requirement for you to be a supplier for us, and that this is the way that we will be proceeding with not only documentation, but like I said, with C of A's and with receiving and with corrective action. It's all going to be done through the TraceGains system, and that if you are not part of the TraceGains system, that does create a potential of being eliminated as a supplier for us. And a lot of the contracts, maybe 2 or 3 years, so we can't just put in, must use TraceGains right away. So we do have to reach out to the suppliers and say, hey, we understand that this isn't part of the contract that we have currently, but this is something that we're asking you to do. Please help us so that we can continue the relationship. We have different regions, and so we have assigned leaders of the different regions to kind of spearhead because of the language changes and the difficulties in different languages, because some of the suppliers may not have the English language as something that they can do. So we utilized a regional approach and had the regions hold meetings with the suppliers and the local languages so that they could understand a little bit more. We had training sessions, like I said, and we went through how to create a TraceGains account if they didn't have one, how to establish the connection when they receive connection requests, how to upload documents, how to do those document requests and make sure that we get the documentation we're asking for. And that's helped us tremendously because of that language difference, or the language issues sometimes with the supplier, to utilize the regional groups to help us with the better supplier input. We've utilized kind of our own materials, but we pulled it from the TraceGains Academy and some of the things, like I said, because we had to do some translations of the material, but a lot of times we use the basis of the TraceGains Academy. That's the biggest thing for our company. We didn't have a global way of document collection that everybody was doing the same way. So TraceGains helps us tremendously. We now have a global network, so we know all of our suppliers globally. In the past, it was a piecemeal. We had some systems in certain regions and others were doing something else in other regions. So now, from a global perspective, we can look and see all of our suppliers globally. We can see our suppliers regionally, and we can see our suppliers down to the plant level. So we know which suppliers each plant is using, which ones are maybe multi-regional or multi-plant, and which ones are global. And that does help with our procurement team when they're creating contracts, because now they can go and say, hey, you supply X amount of product to, X amount of plants, and utilizing that foothold and price discussions can occur utilizing, look how much that we purchased from you. Whereas in the past, that type of information wasn't readily available. With TraceGains, it's a literally 3-minute process to pull that information together to know, which plants are receiving. If we want to pull in a supplier, we can pull their name up and know exactly what we're getting from them, who's getting it. So it does help in contract negotiations. It also does help with actual spend. We know how much that we are spending with our suppliers based upon the number of shipments and whatnot that the suppliers are sending us. So, I think TraceGains touches almost all of our different groups that we have in our company. So it's a vital piece that's becoming more and more vital for us. It's just not a quality type of program that we purchased. It's a system that helps many different groups that we have within our company.